Hi and good evening. I am Miss Council and welcome to the show. Once again, thank you so much for joining me live tonight for another topic. Last week we talked about divorce not damaged, and if you know me or you've checked out my social media pages, you know that I am the author of Divorced Does Not Equal Damaged. And so I started talking about my story a little bit the last time, and talking about how divorce is a label that just doesn't define who you are. So check that video out. Go back and look at that video, because I talked about, how I got married young and my expectations of how things didn't quite turn out the way I thought they would. But talks about my journey and where my journey started. So thank you so much for joining. Say hello so I know who is here. Can't quite see who's in the bubbles, but if you type in a comment, say hello, I'll know who you are and I can say hello back. But thank you again so much for joining me tonight live so that we can talk about another topic. Hope that everybody has had a wonderful weekend. You are gearing up for your weekend, that you have been productive today. I hope y'all been productive. Even if you're at home, working from home, you can be productive, right? Getting some things done. Hey sis, I see you're on. Thanks for joining. I talk a lot about my first marriage and how I ended up divorced. So now I'm sharing with you the journey on how I got there. Talked about that a little bit last week, how I got there and how I got from there to where I am now. You know that I'm happily remarried in my second marriage. I think in the last video I talked about how the second marriage is almost like trying that recipe for the second time. If you're like me, I go on Pinterest and I find all kinds of recipes to try out. And, you might not get it right the first time, but you learn some things. And so the next time you figure out what you did wrong and how to fix it. Hey, girl. Hey. Hey, Rosa. Thanks for joining. But you figure out what you did wrong, or what you didn't like about that recipe the first time, and how you can make it better the second time. Maybe I need to stir it counterclockwise next time. But you figure out, maybe I need to add this to it. You ever tried a recipe and it just wasn't quite seasoned properly? Well, that's what it's like when you go into your second marriage. It's like, what was it not quite right about that first time I made it? Let me make it a little better the second time. Well, thank you all so much for joining me here again. I am Miss Council, and I am a life coach and relationship coach, and I help divorced women get their lives back after divorce, and remarried women have more successful second marriages. That recipe the second time around, right? So you can learn more about how to work with me on my website, misscouncilknows.com. So please go out and check it out. I have put it in the description, the website. So if you want to have a call with me, or if you want to learn how to work with me, different opportunities, learn about my book, you can find all of that on misscouncilknows.com. So let's jump right into it. I know you wonder, where am I going with this topic tonight? I know people ask me that all the time, like, oh, this title, what are you doing with this today? So, why your family has to break up with your ex. And I see my baby brother just joined in. Thanks for joining. Y'all know that divorce is a process, and I talk a lot about it. But it's a decision that most likely you didn't make lightly. You decided, you took the steps to contact an attorney, and you filed for divorce. Whether you included your friends and family in on that decision or not, you were alone when you took that step and you initiated that process. And ultimately, it's you who has to see it through. Even if it was a different way, maybe you were served papers by your ex or by your spouse, and you had to respond to that petition for divorce. It's something that you had to do. Hey, big brother, thanks for joining. In those quiet moments when you're by yourself and you're thinking about the past and questioning your decision, you're alone. And you're the one who has to live with the decisions that you have made. So why is it that the opinions of other people become so loud and prevalent in our lives? That's my first question. Y'all always got questions and then I got answers too, right? Look, when I filed for divorce, I kept quiet. I didn't want to have to explain myself to anyone, especially to my family. Hey, y'all. Family members and friends, they mean well, but after you had to put your big girl panties on and go take that step that you never imagined yourself taking, the last thing you need is an interrogation by those closest to you. Now, I know there's people out there who know what I'm talking about, but you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to tell people what's going on with you. You did it, took all of your might, all your strength to take that step, but there are going to be questions. And you'll feel that you have to respond to them. But you don't really have to consider their feelings in your decision to get divorced. I mean, are they involved in your day-to-day life? They live with you. Even if they do that, are they interacting? And more importantly, are they walking in your shoes? Then why do they have the right to participate in what's going on in the dissolution of your marriage or the terms on which you're moving on? You're moving forward in your life. Why is it? At the point in time when the ink is dry, and I ain't talking about when the judge has signed the papers, but I'm talking about once you file that paperwork, things are going to start changing in your life. Now, in your new singlehood, you have to make some plans on what to do next. What are your moves going to be with your finances, your living situation, co-parenting if you have kids with your spouse, communication, how to communicate with them, because maybe communication was the issue, but you've got to learn how to do it now that you are no longer in a relationship together. But everything could possibly change in your life. There's a whole lot of adjusting that you're going to be doing at this new point in your life. And not to mention the pressures from other people. Do you really need that on top of everything you're trying to adjust to? You're probably or most likely going to need your family as your support system to help figure some things out. Family or friends you need some help figuring things out. And that's going to open you up to their questions and comments. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all got those friends and family members like, but what happened? I'm going to need to know something. You got to give me something. You got to tell me something. But they're going to want to know what happened. And, they're trying to be a sympathetic ear. But, hey, they may not be able to be sympathetic because they can't be really objective. So be cautious. Whatever you say can and will be held against you in the court of public opinion. And just know that it could possibly be repeated to other people. Your family is all up in your business. And just like most people, they got opinions on what you should have done, what you could have done, and what you should be doing. Now, that ain't what you want to hear right now when your life might be falling apart and you're attempting to move forward. I mean, maybe I'm not talking to some of y'all because some of y'all might have had perfect amicable divorces, and congratulations to you. Everybody doesn't have that. But this is not going to be an easy task to be able to move forward. And I certainly understand. But it's something that you are going to have to deal with as you try to put the pieces of your life back together. Or I'll say your new life, put it together. And, I know other people's opinions are really not what you want to hear. But because we love them, we entertain them, and we're going to be more apt to listen. Everybody's not hardcore and able to tell their mama to shut up. I know I ain't like that. I still jump a little bit. But, just take it in and don't feel like you have to do what's suggested. I mean, what they're going to do, follow up. But you're wondering, like, why is this happening right now? Sometimes it's a lot of pressure from your family and your friends to know what's going on because they really do mean well. Remember I said they mean well. They're trying to help you. They feel they're trying to help you. But why is this happening like right now? You don't need another issue on your plate, another thing. But boundaries are being crossed. Boundaries are being crossed right now. Let's see, we have a comment. Rosa says, I have a hard time understanding why people can't support you without a backstory. Exactly. And so she says, I just support and ask the person what they need from me. Listen, you are a good friend, family member to have, Rosa. Because you understand, and being on the receiving end of all of that judgment, it's what it feels like. It's judgment. Like, okay, let me hear your story so I can tell, it's like people want to figure out who was right or wrong. Like that's going to matter. But like you said, you just support them and ask them what they need. That would be great. But you got to treat people the same way you want to be treated, right? So make sure if you run into that with any friends or family, you treat them how you want to be treated. But I was talking about boundaries. Boundaries are being crossed, and they might not have ever existed. I mean, I know with families we don't set boundaries. We don't set boundaries with anybody until something happens, right? That's not something that we set up in the beginning, but I talk about that a lot with relationships, that you got to set the foundation, and part of setting the foundations for a relationship is setting some boundaries, some rules for engagement. But we need that with our families and our friends sometimes, especially when we know that we're going through something. Like, hey, we can say, hey, can you just listen? No judgment. But the point is, you got to get some people out your business as much as possible. Get them out of your business, but keep them out of your business. If you keep them out of your business, you don't have to get them out. Don't put them in your business. There's always an assumption that when a relationship ends, that somebody has to be at fault and there has to be some type of punishment at hand. So I think that's what people are looking for in that backstory. Like, what did you do wrong? Or what did he do wrong? Or what did she do wrong? And you and I both know that our loved ones, and some of them here tonight, they be ready to fight a battle on your behalf that you ain't even trying to fight. You might not even have any harsh feelings towards your ex, and you're trying to just move on. But even if you do, you're not really looking to get your family and friends involved in some fight that has nothing to do with them. And I'm not talking about a physical fight, but just a battle. Battle doesn't have to be physical. I get it. It's hard keeping things away from your family, what's going on with you. Quickly, I had to address, my address had to change, and that was even before my paperwork was filed. But once that decision was made, I basically gave an FYI. FYI, we ain't together no more. I said what I said. If that was a thing back then, that's what I'm like. I said what I said, and we're going to keep moving. I just didn't share the gory details of my separation and ultimate divorce because I was over it. And I know my family loves me. My brothers are here right now. But, what I did was I went to counseling, and I talked to my counselor frequent visits to the counselor to deal with my thoughts and my feelings surrounding that divorce. And just know that a counselor just has no skin in the game. Their skin in the game is helping you to get where you want to be, and determining what that looks like. They don't know you personally, and they more than likely don't know your ex. And even if they do, they can't discuss you or what you talk about, or even acknowledge that you're a patient of theirs. So, find somebody that you're comfortable with, that you can open up to, because that's the important part about counseling, is opening up. Because if you were holding information, they can't really help you, because if that's the stuff that's the stuff that the stuff that you don't want to tell them about, that's the stuff you really need to deal with. I'm just saying. Family, family, if you do start sharing those details, and they hear that you've been hurt in any way, physically, mentally, or otherwise, they ready to posse up, and they planning your ex's funeral. So you don't want that to happen. So tread carefully. Like I said, go and talk to a counselor to help you work through those things. And even if you got therapists in your family, hey, go and pay somebody and sit down on that couch and talk to them. Because you might be forced in talking to your family. You might be forced to say something because you just got to get it out. But you can't take it back once you shared it. It's out there in the open. I mean, I ain't saying you got to protect your ex, but just know that people who love you, they may not be ready to move on or have that mindset of moving on when you're ready to move on. So close your mouth. Go see somebody and talk about it. On the other side of this is when your family is so tied to your ex and they just cannot accept that the relationship has ended. They have you'll always be my family mentality. And what do you do in this situation? I know you're wondering, like, what do you do in a situation like that when your family is married to your ex? that makes it so difficult to move on in your life, and you're constantly running into your ex at the family house, at family gatherings, at holiday meals. Have you ever gone home just to enjoy your family and there's just that one person or people there that make you uncomfortable and you can't really enjoy yourself and let your hair down like you'd like to? Imagine that's your ex. And I get it. When all is well, it's all good. You know, they bring in drinks. They might be the bartender. They might be the DJ. They might be that fun uncle, that favorite daughter-in-law, or the life of the party. And none of that matters to you because you done, and you are moving on without them. Especially if you don't have children together, you really may not have a reason to interact with them anymore. So, after that relationship is over, Rodney says, get a new family off Wish. Okay. He's so funny. Hey, Jerry, thanks for joining. Get a family off of Wish. I don't know. It might, and no telling what size it might come in. You never know what you're getting when you're ordering it off the internet. Oh, but y'all, mama and them, they just loved your ex. He was the best thing since sliced bread. He made the best barbecue. He's always family, right? He can come on over to the house whenever he wants to. But here's the problem. They're not family. But what's the solution? If you got questions, I got answers for you. You're going to have a conversation and help them to understand your position and the level of comfort in having that person around. I talk about communication being very important, and it is important. You always got to talk. You got to talk it out so people understand, where you are with things. Don't just make the assumption. I know this may be controversial because, you're their relative, not the ex. So your family should really support you in your decision, whether they agree or not, to be able to move on. You don't want to see that person. You really don't. You don't want to have to deal with that person anymore. They're your ex for a reason. But finding a solution might present a challenge. But I'm here to say that it can be reached. You can reach a solution. Hey, my family knows whichever the wind blows, they got to blow with me. When the relationship ends with the ex, so does theirs. Cut it off. Cut it. But we had to get to that point. It hasn't always been that way. Terry said it's wrong on all levels. Yes. But hey, some people might disagree because of the fact that they might be still best friends with their sister's ex-husband. And they might feel like that's all right. That's okay. Just don't invite them over for Thanksgiving. No, they can't bring the macaroni and cheese. But your family has to break up with your ex in order to support you. The breakup or divorce is already hard, and it's something that you've had to go through. And it might be at the hardest times that when you are alone. But you don't want to have to, in those times I know when I go home with my family, we're going to cut the food. Me and my siblings and my husband, everything, and, our family, we are going to have us a good time. And so I wouldn't want to be uncomfortable and trying to watch what I say around my ex. I mean, just really think about it. It's about, moving forward with your life. And hey, although they may have a relationship with your ex, they've got to consider your feelings and aid you and help you in moving on with their life. Yeah, the ex might feel some kind of way. Well, I always came over Nana's house all the time, so why can't I still come? Ain't I a part of the family? You sure ain't. Let's see. Darius says, is that a requested cutoff or something automatic, asking for a friend? Listen, I say, have a conversation with your family. If they've got to cut it off, it is what it is. But it also is up to the family and the family member. Sometimes you don't agree with your family member and the things that they've done, and you might still want to be friends with their spouse. And then also you got to consider the relationship, because there's a whole bunch of distant cousins, aunts, and uncles out there that you really don't have a relationship with anyway. So their ex ain't got nothing to do with it. Look, we not having Thanksgiving together anyway, so What's the big deal if I go and hang out with your ex? I'm just saying, that happens in families. But if it's a close relationship, you have a close relationship, like I talked about my siblings and I. Now my ex can't come over to the house. We're not inviting my brother's exes, my sister ex. We're not inviting them over. If they got, if they're remarried or they with somebody else, we don't invite those people over. We might see them at Walmart and be like, hey, how you doing? And keep moving. Don't stand around asking questions. Let's see, Rosa says, I love my family too much to engage with their ex. Come on now. That's love right there. Hey, Lika, thanks for joining. But we also have to be considerate of the relationship. Like I was saying, you got to be considerate of the relationship your ex has had with your family. Some people break up after being together 20 plus years. And so that person might have some type of attachment. So it might take a little bit of time to undo that. And some may argue that that's not fair because just because you're getting a divorce doesn't mean that they have to. But I say that there must be a happy medium. You've got to find somewhere in the middle. And in order for that to happen, you have to express how you feel. Don't assume that you announce that you're breaking up or there's a divorce, that's enough for your family to understand your position and that you never want to see your ex again. You got to open your mouth. You got to open your mouth and let them know how you feel. Say, hey, look. Say you were shooting ball with him. You can't shoot ball with him no more. Hey, Brenda, I see you're on. But yeah, sorry. You ain't gonna be able to do it with him no more. I just had to give a pause for that. No. But you've got to have that conversation because people might assume, oh, well, we've known him for 25 years or we know her for 25 years. She made the best red velvet cake. Who else we supposed to get it from? Okay, well, you better pay her to make that red velvet cake and you pick it up or she drop it off, but she can't stick around. No. But those are conversations that you have to be had, and you have to be clear by how you feel and what support you need in moving forward. Many people do have amicable divorces, and they can even hang out with each other. I mean, I just saw Cardi B, and she's filed for a divorce from her husband, and they was hanging out for her birthday. In fact, he bought her a very expensive gift. I think he bought her a car or something like that. Seems like she'd be okay with him coming for Christmas dinner and hanging out. And that's good for them. That's what they want to do. But meanwhile, the rest of us out here, we are not trying to exchange gifts under the mistletoe with our exes. We prefer not to have a holly jolly Christmas with our exes. But again, I say that communication is the key. You've got to talk to your family, and it may be important to you for your family to break up with your ex right along the same time and along the same lines that you do. That person's going to feel like they've been thrown out of the family. They might. They can go to counseling too. They can. But set those boundaries, have those conversations with your family. I get it that, hey, relationships last for a long time. Somebody may be calling your mama, but hey, just don't be there when I get there. You can stop by if you want to, whatever your terms, but have that conversation. And, when you got parents and they're elderly and they've had relationship, you might have had a relationship with the boy next door. What's my movie? Love and Basketball. Could have had a relationship with the boy next door. So they always kept up with, what was going on with him. And when he got married, the mom told her, oh yeah, he's getting married and everything. So, his ex-girlfriend, albeit it was from college, she always kept up with what's going on. So, when he was home, of course, he's going to go and say hello to the neighbors and things like that. But communicating, what was the nature of the relationship? You've got to be mindful of what the nature of the relationship is, and then also communicating what it is that you want. Keith says, can you be Facebook friends with them? Why? Why would you? Why would you want to be Facebook friends with them? Because I think that the whole purpose of Facebook is for you to scroll through your timeline and see, things that are happening with people that you know. And if you're trying to keep up with what's going on with your ex, why would you need to keep up with your ex? Rodney says, nope, block and delete. That's where I'm going with it. Right. You don't really need to be friends with your ex. I mean, unless, I know that, like I said, I know people who have gotten divorced. They have children. They have a good relationship. That is wonderful. But, my family members may be friends with my exes. I ain't friends with them. I've moved on. What you want to see pictures of me and my husband for? I'm just saying, if you really want to know something about me, you shouldn't go to Facebook to find it out because, go on social media because I don't really post my business like that. So you'd have to know me. I take plenty of pictures. My mom has one of those little picture frames and the pictures pop on up on there and she can see what's going on with us lately. My siblings know what's going on because I talk to them on a regular basis, but I don't, your exes, hey, I'm not trying to be friends with them. All right, see, we got some people backing us up, Rodney. Terry says, I'm with you, Rodney. You are definitely blocked. Amen, somebody. Derry says, nah. All right, so there we go. There we have it. We have a consensus, and the eyes have it. So y'all know I will never leave y'all without tips. Your family got to break up with your ex. You've got to communicate about it. But my first tip is to get a counselor, and that's who you talk to about your business. Hey, it's good to have a little check in every month with your counselor. If you think everything is going all right, talking to them, it's always good to have someone there. So that need to talk to a friend. That friend don't have to be your ex, but or your family member, because again, they don't know how to separate those things sometimes. Some of us do, but everybody doesn't know how to. But they'll help you. A counselor will help you navigate it all. But my second tip is to get your family out of your business. Just get your family out of your business. Don't get them in it. Every little thing that goes on in your relationship, you don't have to go and tell it, because sometimes people have those feelings and they can't get past them. They can't get past them. Like, you did what to my sister? You said what to my brother? Like, you know what? Let me get these earrings out. Let me put my hair in a pony. I'm just saying. Whereas you've already moved on. You've already moved on, and he apologized or she apologized, and y'all good now. But your family's still in the feelings. So don't let them in your business. Don't put them in your business. That way you don't have to get them out of your business. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. Once again, thank you for your participation. I always love to interact with my audience and hear your comments, see your comments and see your smiling faces. Join me again next week on Monday. I'll be on live Monday and Thursday next week. So please join me for 2 topics next week. Y'all know I'm Miss Counsel, and Miss Counsel knows a little bit about everything. I ain't telling you what I heard, but I am telling you what I know. Please make sure you go out and click on the link from MissCounselKnows.com. MissCounselKnows.com. That's my website. And thank you so much for watching. You have a good night.